All right. Okay. Well, good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Cal. Nice to see you in New York, upstate New York.
Yep, upstate here. And
hmm
you are hailing from Boise, Idaho, right?
Yes. Yep. Beautiful Idaho.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for spending some time here for us to do this recording for my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And for the folks watching, this is Tim DeSantis. He and I are first cousins, I think we would be.
Yes.
Because, yeah, our moms are sisters. And Tim and I grew up with a lot of the same memories, meeting at grandma's house for Sunday dinners, which we were really lucky looking back, right? We were
very
lucky
fortunate
to be able to have that experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also are both in the healing field. We're both psychotherapy practitioners. And why don't you just give a little intro about yourself, Tim, if you don't mind?
Yeah. And just maybe reiterate a little bit, which I found sort of cool is, I think we're 3 years apart, 4 years apart. How old are you? Oh, never mind. Don't answer that question.
I don't
You can
care.
cut that out of the video if you want.
I don't care. I'm 55.
Yeah, so I'm 58, and so yeah, 3 years older than you, which I find ironic because, I remember when you got married in Montana, you asked me to give you away because I think I was the closest relative. I was the only thing you had, maybe to give me away, but.
My parents didn't want to travel out there.
Right,
so.
right. But it was a privilege to do that and go to Montana. But at that time, I don't think either one of us were. I don't even think we were in grad school or anything. You might have been. I think you may have been a therapist.
I had just graduated, and that was part of the trip and getting married.
And I don't remember us talking about that, so I had no idea you were going to be a therapist and all that. And then I ended up being a therapist. We both did that. I retired from the military, went to school for 6 years. But anyway, years later, I find out, wow, we're both therapists. Not only are we both therapists, we both specialize with trauma. So anyways, and the area of study that I study is Somatic Experiencing is the modality of therapy that I study. So, and that's all about, it's really the underlying thing, which is probably a lot of similar to you, is the underlying theory behind somatic experiencing, which is the modality of therapy, is really looking at the polyvagal theory and which is a big part of it. So the nervous system regulation. I like to say in my notes, I'll put down my plan is autonomic nervous system wellness is what my goal is with helping people. So
awesome. I love that. Autonomic nervous system wellness.
Yeah.
I love that term. So most people watching would know that my specialty is EMDR, although I haven't really talked about it too much yet on YouTube. But eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And that also looks at the nervous system. And as Bessel van der Kolk says, the body keeps the score. So your somatic is body, and EMDR is, it doesn't have to be eyes, it can be tapping, but it's definitely involving the body and the nervous system and helping reprocess those maladaptively stored traumatic memories so we can have calmer in the nervous system. And I think that's really where our two therapies, although they're different and there's extensive training on both sides, there's really a lot of the same principles, and there's a lot of overlap with that. So Tim and I meet regularly about every 6 weeks or so, just to kind of consult. And even though, again, the training is different, there's a lot of similarities. So it's like we're speaking the same language, only learning different different words maybe, or
Mhm.
different phrases, different concepts from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you don't got a question, but I'm just thinking a little bit about, I think if there is a difference, not that we have to discuss that, I think the modality of somatic experiencing really looks at a bottom up approach. And so when we talk about the triune brain, if you haven't heard about that, it's we believe that there's three parts of the areas of the brain: the human brain, the mammal brain, and the reptile brain. And with somatic work, we really want to start not in the human brain, which was the last thing that, whether you're a creationist or an evolutionist, the last thing that develops is the human brain, the cerebral cortex. That's the last thing develops. And then the emotional brain and the reptile brain, which is more the related to the autonomic nervous system, which is what I'm really curious about. And I start there. I like to start there. So I'm really curious, not what people are saying or feeling emotionally. I'm more concerned about, what's their heart rate doing? Are they got restless leg going on? Are they turning red? Is their stomach growling? Are they constricted and tight as they're sitting there? And I want to help. Not so much. I actually bought I just changed offices, and I actually bought these two things, these two gold metal things that are not real gold, but they look gold. Relax and Dream. And I really like the Dream one. If I had to do it over again, I would take the Relax and get it out and put Breathe, because I don't think the goal is really to relax. I think the goal is to help the system be coherent and regulated. And if you're at an activated state where you just lost a loved one, you may be in a deeper parasympathetic state, and to pendulate the best you can within that state, even though you're not feeling so great. Or Capitol building gets invaded and you're activated in the sympathetic nervous system. Same thing. I think it's unrealistic to think that, oh, let's go to this Zen place and be all chill. It's not really. It's not that easy. But can I pendulate within that state and then slowly see that diminish. So anyway, just
Yeah.
But again, I'm talking.
I use those.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I use Pendulate as well. And I also, and I think I've shared with you, onto Deb Dana's, her ladder model, which is the nervous system, and ventral vagal is where we're connected, maybe that calm, breathe, know we're okay. And sympathetic is more that I'm under attack, we're under attack nervous system. And then we can't stay there forever if we have this chronic fear and anxiety, and then we end up just the collapse, the despair, and that's where dissociate is as well. And I noticed with the people that I'm working with, often it's a surprise when they begin to realize, oh, well, normal people don't always feel that ventral vagal. So it's just not how we're designed, and it wouldn't even keep us safe in our bodies if we were always ventral vagal, because there are threats or there are dangers. And the whole goal is for us to be able to go up and down that ladder or pendulate, however we want to conceptualize that. And without getting too technical here today, I guess let's rewind a little bit and talk about our shared memories, because I grew up in Canandaigua, which is like heart of the Finger Lakes little town. And you grew up in Rochester, which is a big city compared to what I grew up in. And it was about an hour away. But at least every other Sunday, your family would come down in the station wagon to Grandma's house, our mom's mom.
Yeah.
and out in the country. And that's where we grew up together through probably, I don't remember toddler with you too much, but I remember being a kid all the way up to like early teen.
Sure.
And I just think that that shared experience, that's ventral vagal. That's connection. That's positive memories. That's knowing the families around.
Right.
So what do you think of, Tim, when you hear me saying these things?
Yeah. Well, when I think of you and your family, you know, I remember your mom and your dad, of course, and Derek and your dog Litz, which was a really cool dog. So I think of that, and, you know, I think of the trips to, you know, driving from the big city, and, you know, and it was a lot bigger back then than it is now. Actually, Rochester has shrunk quite a bit, when the industry sort of went down, the auto industry and Kodak. But it was a big city, and it was always a relief to it was like going to Canandaigua, you know what I mean? And going to visit grandma, you know, and grandma's roast beef, you know.
Exactly.
She has the best roast beef, and this darkened, and yet it was tender inside, and it was just delicious, and had a bitter but tasty taste to the outside crust, but a very tender meat. Anyway, love that. And that's soothing. As I'm describing that, I'm just remembering that, and that is soothing to my system to recall that from you know, my taste buds and my memories. How warm that was.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because that's something about grandma's roast beef was like nothing ever experienced again.
No.
And it's so funny. Like when I tell people about Sunday dinners at grandma's, I always say what you just said.
Yeah.
Her roast beef.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way, remember how the house smelled? You guys must have walked in from being in the car and the smell.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was gorgeous. Beautiful. So, and I think we had roast beef almost every time. I mean, there was, I'm sure there was times, I think there was times we didn't, but we must have had that the majority of the time we came out there. I think in the summer we might've done some more cookouts and stuff like that, but the other thing that I remember, and I remember my first somatic experience in training, you know, they said, go get connected to nature. And I'm in the University of Washington Botanical Gardens, and that's where our training was. And so we're running around the garden, and paired up with somebody, and our job was just to connect to the other person, observe for 20 minutes without saying anything, and let that person do their thing, and then vice versa. So I'm out there connected, and I'm just looking at the trees and all that, and coming back, you know, question and answer time. And the earliest memories of connecting to the environment and nature was the trees in grandma's house. You know, I used to climb the trees, and you know, the one tree had we all climbed that tree, and I love that tree, but I climbed several of those trees out and back. And I remember being out there with my Aunt Gail, killing all the dead branches, climbing up to the top of the trees, hanging on like a monkey, and jumping up and down until these dead branches would you know, cascade down. But I love being connected to the trees. Something about nature, something about being up there in the trees made me feel, I mean, just awesome. You know, it was just a cool place to be.
Yeah. And again, I know that maple tree that you're talking about, because we put some boards up there, tried to make a tree house, and
that's right.
We had the boards that we could sit on, and I was more chicken than you were. You were brave and older boy. You were scared enough. And I was like, but I managed to get up there to a certain level, not as high as you got, but I so remember her beautiful maple trees, the green.
Yeah.
And another memory I have that involves trees is the apple orchard trees.
That's right. Yeah.
And we would remember there would be a small herd of cows, and I think once or twice we wound up in the trees because we were scared of the cows.
Sure. Yeah. And I remember crashing in cow flop a few times too. So Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
And
it
then,
seems like both of, oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, beyond the orchard too, the creek that we used to hang out at, and that creek was so soothing when you get there and just see the water running. And
Yes.
sad to say, today I think there's probably all kinds of houses there, and but back
Yeah,
when
there's a few back there.
we were there, there was
Yeah.
nothing back there. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have dreams about her house now as an adult?
Not a lot. It's weird. I have recurrent dreams of snakes in grandma's house. And
Yeah.
of course I used to catch a lot. And
Yes, you
I
and your
almost,
brother, Johnny.
yeah, and I can remember catching them different places, but one of the favorite places was Wesley's well, the well in front of Wesley's house. And one year, they covered it up with slabs of rock, but one year I went up there and I was pulling the rocks out because they're underneath the flat rocks, and the whole thing collapsed. And I seen 100 snakes just all inside the cobblestone inside. At least that's my memory. And all the rocks caved into the well, and I ran because I thought I was in trouble. But everyone thought, my whole family thought I fell in and I may have been dead. But I just ran because I was scared. So I went through the field, back around the apple orchard field, not the apple orchard field, the one behind it, Wesley's field, and then came back in this way. And I come back this way and like, where's everybody at? And everybody's up at Wesley's well, thinking that I might have died. but
Gosh.
but I have this recurring dream, and I wasn't scared I was scared that I would get in trouble. I wasn't scared of the snakes.
You were, but everybody else was terrified.
Yeah, but my recurrent dream is all these snakes, and I don't know why I have that dream, but
wow.
not so much anymore. But I've had that over the years, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I have a dream like that. So anyway,
see, I vaguely, man, I must have been kind of protected from everyone's panic because I don't remember it that much.
Yeah.
But now that you're saying that, it kind of rings a bell. My dreams, you have a little bit of the snake well trauma. It sounds like your brain used to process.
Yeah, not ventral vagal, no.
No, now we're getting into sympathetic. You can see my face.
Yeah.
And I apologize to the people watching with the phobia of snakes, because some people's sympathetic nervous systems just got activated and they just turned us off, I'm sure.
Right, yeah.
But sometimes I have dreams about the cows running by grandma's window because being a little kid, when the cows got loose, the cows got loose, get up on the porch. And that was like scary, even though the cows wouldn't have hurt, but they're like stampeding by. So I dream about that sometimes. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Well, I guess we could talk about this
forever.
And but the point being, and I hope the people watching this can just see how those shared memories, they're really connectors. And then you can go from real, calm, beautiful Sunday dinner to remember the snakes and the cows, but that's like a good sympathetic.
Yeah.
That's not high tone panic. That's low tone. Oh my gosh, that was exciting. That was cool.
And both you look at the nervous system and you look at we talk about a nervous system in a triune fashion. I think both you and I do. You have a social system, a sympathetic nervous system, and a parasympathetic nervous system. And you have a healthy response to each of those, and you have a stress response to each of those. And when I look at excitement and surprise and reminiscing about these stories, even though they're traumas, but they're not traumas that devastate, they're traumas that keep these beautiful memories. And it's exciting, just like getting a touchdown. I mean, I remember playing football in the yard or frisbee or baseball or whatever that we did. These things are activating, but they're activated in a healthy way. And that's your healthy part of that sympathetic nervous system when we're all excited.
Yes. And it's no surprise that both of us and those great times at grandma's and the trees and the water, and sometimes we'd get to go to grandma's sister, who was our aunt, that had a little cottage on Canandaigua Lake.
Yeah.
And that was like the best. So and here it is, fast forward 40 some odd years later, and here we are both in private practice helping people that have experienced trauma, and both of us incorporate nature and hikes, and I try to get people out on the paddleboard sometimes, and I think you're looking at starting to do that, but that we are drawn to nature because of that ventral vagal, those experiences, not just now but back then, and
Sure.
helping to share that with the people that we're working with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that ventral vagal that you're talking about, again, is another way of looking at it in non-technical terms that's easier for me and others to resonate with is, you said shared connection. So I look at the social system, or what you're saying is the ventral vagal, as connection. And so when I can connect to nature, when I can connect to my cousin, when I can connect to my body, when I can connect to my spiritual perspective or my spiritual beliefs, animals, safe animals. We both have, I think we both have a dog and a cat. All of these things are related to that ventral vagal, which is connecting to these various things. And they help regulate and they help soothe our nervous system, and all the time, even when this last year there's been a lot of stuff going on. Even when this last year, to be conscious of that and realize that, hey, my dog is still here, nature's still there, still get to connect to different things, people and nature, and these things that help regulate. We can't ignore what's going on around us, whether it's COVID-19 or the Capitol building or anything else that's going on. There's hundreds of things going on with each of us, right? But we need to spend some time. I think you were talking earlier about before we got online about it's not reasonable to think that we're going to be in ventral vagal 100% of the time. It's impossible and it's not reasonable. But boy, we have to bounce there a lot, especially when the more activated things are around us, the more that we should make an effort to do that to help keep us healthy and safe and alert.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Well, this was great sharing this time with you, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. And
thanks.
All right. Well, hey, good luck with your stuff, and I'll talk to you later.
All right.
I'm going to stop recording. I stopped.